Flori Ago, you're welcome. Okay, so I'm just trying to set my camera properly. Okay, so guys, welcome to today's live stream. So if you can see me, say hi, say hello. You let me know where you're watching me from. So immediately I get a confirmation, I'm going to start. I just want to make sure that you can hear me. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Let me look at myself very well. Okay, so if you can see me, if you can hear me, please let me know. I just need a confirmation so we can start right up into our tutorial today. So as you can see, we're cutting a princess halter neckline. So I'm going to be doing this in two ways. I'll show you how to cut the normal basic one, and then I'll show you how to adapt it into a bustier. It's going to be very simple and easy. So once you can hear me, okay, you're in. Okay, you're watching from Jamaica. Hello. Babe for Re, hi. Isaac Root, hi. Afoke, you're welcome. Can you hear me? Ngali, welcome. Jumoke Victor, hi. Babe for Re, okay, I can see you, I can hear you. All right, thanks for confirming, guys. Let's go. So I need to reset my, let me readjust my, okay. So I hope you can see my pattern paper fully on the table. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, yes, thank you so much, Dicta, for confirming. Okay, Eric, you're welcome. Good evening. Okay, so you can see my pattern paper here. So I'm going to use this for the back. So this I'm going to use for the front. So like I said, most of my live stream are beginners video basically. So I'm going to start everything from scratch. So now we're going to get started. So the first thing we're going to do now, we're going to rule a startup line. So I hope you can see my pattern nicely on the table. So this is like a start line. So I'll just, let me keep this one is for the back. Let's keep it first. We're going to cut them together. So we're going to have a start line here like this. So this is our start line. So this is going to be where we are starting from. So the next thing, we're going to impute all of our measurements. Okay, Adama, Alison, you're welcome. Where are you guys watching from? Please let me know where you're watching from. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now, we're going to impute our lines on this pattern. So the first line, so this first line, and this is our shoulder line. Okay, so the next line we're going to impute now is our bust point line. So bust point, this is our bust point. I don't want to call it, because most times when we mention it, YouTube will flag our video down. Okay, so that's the bust point. So my bust point that I'm going to be using for this tutorial, I'm going to be making use of 10. So you can see how I placed my what do you call it, my tape, and then I'm going to mark 10. So that's my bust point. So you mark it like this for those of you that don't know how to draft a pattern, so you can see. So that's my bust point. So the next line I'm going to add now is my under bust line. That's this one. That's from shoulder to this point. Okay, so for that is 13 inches. So you can see 13. This is 13 inches. So you mark it like this, and then we'll connect it with our straight ruler like this. Just connect it to the end of your pattern like this. And then the next line that we're going to draw is our half cut line. That's where you want your half cut to be. Okay, Isaac Root, you're watching from Port Harcourt. You're welcome, Port Harcourt. So our half cut is 18. So this is 18 inches here. So we are going to connect it now with our ruler like this. Okay, so these are all of the lines. So this is our bust point, this is our under bust, just like I explained, and then this is our half cut or our waist. Okay, patience. Okay, you're watching from Abuja. Hey, my Abuja people, welcome. Okay, so the next thing now, we are going to impute on this line now, we're going to add our shoulder measurement. So the shoulder that I'm going to be using for this is 13 inches. So when you divide 13 into 2, I'm going to have 6.5. So this is my 6.5. I'll mark my 6.5. So I'll just add half of an inch to it for allowance, so you can see the half of an inch. Okay, babe, for you're watching from Lagos, thanks and welcome. So the next thing now, from this line, I'm just going to come down by 1 inch. So that 1 inch is going to be like for my shoulder slope. So that shoulder slope, I'm just going to mark it into this point like this. Okay, so you can see the shoulder slope. So the next line we're going to measure now. So this is for a shoulder slope. You understand? Because you don't want the shoulder to stand. So that's why they do this. You just slope it a little bit. So the next thing now, we're going to do our armhole. You understand? So armhole, I'm going to use half of my armhole. So when you measure around your armhole, so mine is 15 when you measure it round. So for this, I'm going to use 7.5. You divide it into 2, I'll have 7.5. So you mark the 7.5 here like this. And then when you mark the 7.5, you are going to now use your ruler like this. You connect it like this. You see, you bring it to that point and then you take it to this side like this. So you can see it is easy, right? So the next thing now, we're going to try to make a curve. You understand? So in making a curve, what we will do, we'll take our tape like this and then we'll mark, you put it here. You know we use 7.5, so half of that 7.5 now. So if you don't know how to gauge it very well, just do your tape like this. You understand? So when we do our tape like this, we will now see it. So we'll now bring it like this and place it here. So we have half of our point like this. So this half point like this, just leave it. We are going to come back to it. Okay? So we're going to come back to it. Or if you do, let's just go. We can just do this. You understand? We can just curve this out and then here like this, we'll curve this out like this. On this part, you can come in by just, you can see, just like a quarter of an inch. Okay, so after doing that, so I'm going to use a very nice curve. You can use your hands, that's why I actually used this. So you just curve this in like this and then curve this. So you can see we have our handhole curve. Okay, Joy Chineye, hello, you're welcome. Okay, Adiz, you're watching from Kaduna, welcome. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, after marking your curve, okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to add our dart. So for that, this is how you take your dart. You understand? You take your tape like this, you place it from this point to this second side. So when you place it like that, you see what I have here. So for this, I have about 8 inches from here to here. 8 inches. So that 8 inches, you divide it into 2. When you divide it into 2, you come to this first line like this. You will mark it like this. You understand? You come to this second line again, you will mark it. You come to this third line. I hope you can see. Oh, please let me know. This is a live, so it has to be interactive. That is why. That's the difference between live and our normal YouTube videos. So after marking it, that 4 inches, you divide it into 2. So, and then you connect it to this point like this. Okay, so when you connect it to this point, so we have our dart now. So this is like our bust span. It is called a bust span. You connect it into that point. So the next thing now, we're going to create our princess dart. Okay, so in creating our princess dart, remember that half of our armhole that we marked here, so it still comes in here. So I'm just going to use dotted lines like this. You can see what I'm doing. I'll connect it to this line. It is a very simple process. So this is just like a classic princess dart. So I'm trying to get the best curve to use for it. Okay, so if you don't have pattern curve, you don't need to kill yourself. Just, you can use your hand, you can improvise. So because I don't want my dart to get truncated when I cut, I'm going to add a little bit to this point. So I'm going to add about 1 inch to this, just to extend it a little bit so it does not truncate when I cut. Okay, so when I add that, so now I need to curve this point like this now. So you can see I'm placing my pattern curve properly. You can see, so I'm trying to make sure. Okay, so you can see, so I have my armhole now. So with this, when I cut and stitch, it's not going to make my armhole to be shortened. So please like this video as you're watching it. So now we're done with this. The next thing we're going to add to this pattern is our neckline. So we have our princess that you can see how simple it is. I'm going to show you how to turn. This is not a normal classic one that they use for all of these already made dresses, but if you want to turn it to a bustier, I'll show you how to do that. Let's just continue first. So the next thing, I want to draw our halter neckline. So in drawing the halter neckline, we're going to use our neck, the width depends on how wide you want it to be. So for this, I'm going to use 3 inches. Okay, so I'll mark down my 3 inches like this here, and then I'm going to mark the depth. If you notice, it is not a very long deep one, so I'm going to use 1 inch or 1.5 inch, depends on how deep you want it to be. So I'll mark it here, and then I'm going to connect it like this. Okay, so connecting, the next thing, let me curve it out with my curve like this. So you can see I've marked out my neckline, I've curved it out because, okay, so because it is an halter neckline, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to leave, if you notice from the picture, I'm going to have a little bit of inch here that is going to like hold the shoulder. So for this, I'm going to come, depends on how wide you want that point to be. Okay, so for this, I'm going to use half of an inch. So you can use 1 inch, depends on what you want. Okay, so after marking that 1 inch, the next thing I'm going to do from this point, I'm just going to blend this. It's a very simple process, guys. I'm just going to blend this into my armhole. You understand? You can see what I'm doing. It is a simple process. See, this is the line, the half of an inch. You can do 1 inch, depends on how wide you want this part to be. Just blend this. After marking that point, blend it into not this old armhole, the second armhole that we did. So just blend this into that. Okay, so you can see, you just blend it. So it depends on, like I said, how wide you want this part to be. You blend it in. So after blending in, you can see our halter neckline. You can see the way this part is it has floated to the armhole point. So this is a classic one. That's if you want to do normal ready-made one, you don't want it to have cups. But if you want it to have cups, it is a simple process. I'm going to come to this point now. If I want it to have cups, depends on how big I want the cups to be. So I can do 1.5, that's taking out the dart. I can do 2 inches. So for this, I'll do 1.5 inches. So that 1.5 inch, I'll mark it on the under bust side like this. Okay, I'll mark it on that under bust side. So this is my under bust. So from this point like this, see what I'm going to do. I'm going to like create a curve to come to this point, so you can see. So if I want a big bust now, that's a big cups, I can go as much as 2.5 inches. You understand? And then I'm going to have a wider curve like this. So if for a small size, do 1.5 inch. But if it is for big size, like from bust 40, 38, do our normal 2.5 inches. So when you do that 2.5 inches, you are just going to use your pattern curve like this. You curve it to the bust points like this, so you can see. So you can say I have cups here already. So on this down part here now, you are just going to come here, and then I'll mark. Most times you can take the same 2.5 inches, but most times I don't always like doing that. I'll reduce it by half of an inch. So I'll just take 2 inches, and then when I take that 2 inches, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to come here like this, and then I would curve this like this into this. So you can see that I have a bustier here, and then this is a bustier halter neckline. But if I want a classic one, this thing that I just did, I'm not going to include it. I'll just cut straight. Okay, so the next thing now, we're going to take the full measurement. So for the full measurement, I'm going to come to this point. I want to measure my bust. So the bust is 13.6. So when you divide 36 into 4, we are going to have 9 inches. So I'll mark my 9 inches there. So because I'm going to lost some inches when I cut, I'm going to add that inch back into my point, like half of an inch, and then I'll add my allowance, my stitching allowance. So I'm just going to add my stitching allowance. I'll add 1.5 inches So it's going to be there like this. So you can see the blend it blends into that point like that, so you can see. So the next thing now, I'm going to take my under bust measurement, that's this part. So for my under bust, I'm going to use 30, which is 7.5. This is my 7.5. I'll mark it here. You remember our 2.5 that we took out, so bring that back into your pattern, or else it's going to get truncated, and then you add your stitching allowance. Okay, so when you do that, you are going to have something like this. So I'm just using this dotted line first, and then the next line is this part, which is the half cut. Okay, Chineye, you're watching from Hawaii, welcome. So for this down part, that's this part, I have 34 inches. That's the waist, that's this round waist is 34. So you divide that 34 also, you divide it into 4. When you divide it into 4, I'm going to place it like this, and then I'm going to mark here. You remember my 2 inches here, make sure you bring that 2 inches back into our pattern. So this is my 2 inches back into my pattern, and then I'm going to add my stitching allowance. So my stitching allowance, I'm going to add as much as 2 inches. Okay, so when I add that, so this is what I'm going to have. So you can see the shape of our dress. Okay, so once I'm done, I'm going to use my curve to now curve this nicely. Okay, so you can see I've curved it out nicely. So the next thing now, I'm going to cut this. So before I cut this, I'm going to place the back and the front together. I want you to watch what I'm going to do. So for the back, since the back is not going to have cups, I'm going to use the classic one, which was this first one, to cut the back. You understand? So after cutting the back, we're now going to adapt the front to the bust here. So you see, it is a very simple process and simple way. So here is how we're going to go now. So the back is placed on it now, and then here is how we are going to cut. So for the back, remember to add your zip allowance. So that's your pattern is going to be like this because of the zip allowance. Okay, so do that. So the next thing now, this is going to come like this. So just watch, you can see how that part is going to look like. So you can see how it is looking like. And then the next thing now, we're going to cut out the neckline. So in case you want the halter neckline that this part is not going to have, you are just going to connect it. Like if you want to add a collar to it now, this part, you don't need to add this extra ½ inch that I added. You are just going to blend it in like this. Okay? If you want to add a collar, you know those halter neckline that they add collar. So you don't need this allowance, you just blend this in. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So I just curve this out nicely. So now for the back, I'm going to use the classic one to cut the back out. So you can see this is the normal classic. I hope you can. I'm so sorry about that. Okay. So you can see this is our normal classic halter neckline. So I'll take out the front so you can see what I have. So this is the back. So in case you want to do those ones that you will not add, so I'm trying to adjust this properly. Okay, so I think it's better. So you can see, so this is our back piece. This is our back piece. So it is normal classic. So you don't need to add cups to it. This pattern, you can use it for front also. Okay, so we're going to keep this on the side, and then the front that we made into a bust here, so you can see how it is looking. So the only thing that we're doing for the front is that we're taking out this dart to give it this beautiful curve. Okay, so I'm just going to do this like this. And then I'm going to navigate it. You can see it is a simple process. You see, it's a very simple process. So you can see we have our bust here for the front pattern. So I'll open this up so you can see. So I had to manage my pattern paper. I'm really out of pattern papers now. So you can see how the front pattern is looking like. So let me clear my table so you can see we have the bust here, and then the back, it is the simple normal one that without the bust, that's without the cup. So you see how simple and easy it is. Okay, so we are almost done. So I'm just going to, the fact is that we are done already, so I'm just going to stay and entertain some questions. If you understand what I have done, please let me know. Okay, so let me know, because like I said, this is a live class, so I need interactions before I shut down. So we are done already. In case you are just joining, you can go back and rewatch the video from the beginning. It is a very simple process. I did everything from scratch, as in rock scratch. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope this live stream, okay, I was thinking it has stopped because Nigerian network can embarrass somebody. Okay guys, so okay, thanks. Okay, BB, okay, this was very explanatory. Thank you so much. Thanks. I really appreciate that, for you guys telling me. Thanks, BB. I appreciate that a lot. You're welcome. So like I said, most of my live stream, I'm going to be doing them for strictly beginners. That's just the truth. I'll do them strictly. So let me put on my, okay, so most of my live streams, I'm going to do them strictly for beginners. So in case you are a beginner and you have any question, you can send me your pictures. You can send to WhatsApp. If it's something that I can use a pattern paper to do, I'll use the pattern paper. If it is something I can use a fabric to cut, I'll use a fabric to cut it. Just try as much as I can to help you guys to grow. So thank you so much. So let me try. Isaac Root. Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. Sassy Mama. Okay, you said you understand it. Okay. Well understood. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. True, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. So thank you so much, guys. It's actually raining here. You know, I was almost giving up on this live stream. Let me just manage. So thank you so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. So I'll see you in my next live stream. Bye.